Now, 13 WMAZ Sports with Connor Hines.
If you're going to tell me somebody sitting in that committee room and doesn't think that Georgia team's not one of the best four teams, I don't know if they're in the right profession. You know, they have to make that decision. But it's the best four teams.
And boy, I wonder what Kirby's got to say now. Folks, in a year where the Georgia Bulldogs entered the SEC Championship undefeated and as the consensus #1 team in America, this was also a year where the Dogs could not afford to lose a single game. Even last night's conference championship to Alabama, a game that the Tide won 27-24, pushing Bama into the playoff and leaving the two-time national champs out of the conversation. Here's your top four announced by the committee this afternoon. Michigan and Washington, both undefeated conference champs. They are your numbers 1 and 2, followed by Big 12 champ Texas, making its first ever playoff appearance at 3, and the 4 spot, which will be talked about, for the next month and beyond. Alabama, who the committee decides to put in over Georgia, but also over Florida State. The Seminoles become the first team in the CFP era to finish as an undefeated Power 5 team and still be left out of the playoff. The Dogs fall all the way down to 6, so it'll be Michigan and Alabama in the first semifinal at the Rose Bowl. Washington and Texas will duke it out at the Sugar Bowl, with the winners advancing to the 2024 National Championship in Houston. Georgia, meanwhile, will have to settle for the Orange Bowl on December 30th against Florida State. Number 5 versus number 6. That's a great matchup, however you cut it. So tonight, we asked what you think of the Dogs being left out of this year's playoff. Let's take a look here. Pamela says Florida State definitely should have been included, and if they had to pick between Georgia and Bama, it should have been the Dogs. They were undefeated until yesterday, right? Now, Sam, he's looking at it a little differently. He says, hey, if you want to be number 1, you got to beat number 1, and Bama did it. He thinks Georgia will beat the Noles in the Orange Bowl. Travis agrees and said, I understand us falling in the rankings, but Florida State got robbed. And meanwhile, Catherine says it will be the best Orange Bowl ever, and I've got to agree with you, Catherine. Definitely a playoff caliber game. And Carl says he cannot wait until the 12-team playoff. Yes, Carl, you and the rest of Georgia fans out there. This, of course, being the last year of the 4-team playoff format before the CFP expands to 12 next year. Thank you all for sounding off. But the Dogs are not the only team from Georgia heading to a bowl game. Check it out. 4 Peach State programs heading to FBS bowl games this month. Georgia Southern kicking it off on December 16th against Ohio in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. How about Georgia Tech? Heading to a bowl game for the first time since 2018, the Jackets will face UCF on December 22nd in the Gasparilla Bowl down in Tampa. On the 23rd in the great state of Idaho, it's Georgia State and Utah State in the Potato Bowl. And then, of course, you got the Dogs and Seminoles on December 30th in Miami for the Orange Bowl. The Dogs are 6-4-1 all-time against FSU. All right, the Atlanta Falcons have been flying around 500 for most of the season now. Believe it or not, they're also flying in first place today, visiting the New York Jets, and this game went about how you'd expect a Falcons-Jets game to go. Pick it up second quarter. It's 2-0 New York, because why not? Give it to Dalvin Cook on the ground, but he loses the football. Who's on it? The Atlanta Falcons are. D. Alford has got it. Turnover on downs. What it do, Dez? Desmond Ridder off the play fake, looking end zone. Michael Pruitt hauling it in for Atlanta. The Falcons jump in front 7-2. Final minute, third quarter. It's 13-8 Atlanta. Quarterback Tim Boyle wants a jet, but he's going to get a Falcon. No Jesse's girl here, just Jesse Bates flying in with his 5th interception of the year. Hey, folks, a win is a win. The Falcons beat the Jets 13-8. They are 6-6 with 1 month to play in the regular season and in first place of the NFC South. That does it for now in sports. We're back after this.